Hi guys, good morning and welcome to my knitting podcast. My name is Mandy and you can find me on the internet as Mandy Von Knits on Instagram and Ravelry. I am a 39-year-old woman from southeastern Michigan. I live here with my husband and my two kiddos, and I am a self-professed knitting enthusiast. I love to come to you every week to talk about knitting and works in progress and crochet. There are some times when I crochet, and I am going to talk about that a little bit later. I also do some machine knitting, which I have been getting into quite a little bit, at least recently. I've been trying to work through my stash. One thing I have noticed about my love of knitting and crochet is that it also comes with a love of yarn. And if you are like me, please hang around and we will both kind of figure out a good approach to deal with it. But anyway, with all of that said, let's get down to business for today. First off, I am going to give away a digital prize pattern, and I do this every week, and it's just something fun that I like to do. And the way that you enter is you just leave a comment down below. Leave your a comment, basically. You can comment about anything that you want. And next week, I will go to a random comment picker and put in the URL to the video, and it spits out a name. There are two rules. One is that your pattern prize must be 15 USD or under. And the second rule is that you can only win once a month. I do that just so that everybody gets a chance to win. I just want to make it fair. With all of that said, I am going to leave a blank spot right here. And if that was you, please reach out to me on either Instagram or Ravelry as Mandy Von Knits. Let me know what pattern you want, and I will go ahead and gift that to you. If you do not use Ravelry, let me know that, and we can figure out a payment platform that will work better for you. Okay, guys, how have you been this week? Because I am scattered. The first thing I am going to talk about is that I finished my Shetland Skies poncho. And I know what you're thinking, because I'm thinking it too. It's kind of tight, right? I mean, it's not overly tight, but I want more room. Like, I don't like that. And whenever I cast this project on, I looked at the sizes, because there are two sizes, and I realized, deep in my heart that I should have cast on the larger size, and I knew I needed to cast on the larger size, but I didn't want to cast on the larger size because this was like 260 stitches around, I believe. It was quite a bit. And when I saw the larger size, I just didn't feel like doing that much 3-color work in fingering weight yarn. I figured, and this is kind of where my mind went, I figured that if I couldn't stretch it out enough blocking it, which is still a possibility, by the way, that my daughter, I have a 10-year-old daughter, she is a self-professed enthusiast of bluebirds. Yes, and whenever she saw this, the first thing that she said was, "Oh, it looks like a blue jay." And she has been in love with it ever since. So if perchance I can't get it to open up a little bit more, I will gift it to her and she will be happy. But with all of that said, next time you guys cast on a project, don't be like me and pick the size that you know is too small for you. Okay, I love this poncho otherwise. I think that it is the cutest thing ever. I just feel, and you know what? I guess this is part of a learning experience, because if this were a sweater, this would fit fine. The problem is that ponchos go over your arms, and I'm not used to thinking about measurements in terms of things that I want like over my arms and restricting movement. I would prefer a poncho that was very, very loose fitting. And I might make this again. I don't know. I might make it again in a bigger size. I might actually try to, well, what I'll do, I won't make it in the next biggest size. I will basically extend the pattern myself and make another size up above that. Because what I feel like I'd like with this is a poncho that I have tons of room in, that I can cuddle up underneath and stuff like that. So I really loved this pattern. I used Holst Tides, and that is 70% wool and 30% silk. It works wonderfully for color work. I love the way that the poncho came out, how the colors worked. I love the stitch definition. I love the way that it worked up on the lace up here. We blocked it well, my husband blocked it for me. He basically just put it in water and then laid it out flat. He doesn't do much special whenever he blocks stuff, and I just appreciate the fact that he kind of lays it out for me. But I feel that once it sits in water for a little bit, it gets very soft, a lot softer than it is when you worked with it. And if you've ever used Holst Super Soft, it's much softer than that. I have Super Soft in my closet, and I've also used Super Soft, and I don't have a problem with it. But if you wanted to compare the two and you were kind of thinking, hey, I would like a yarn, one of these yarns, and then I kind of get not aggravated, what's the right word? I'm sensitive to the rougher type yarns, I would definitely go with Holst Tides, because I think that it's a lot softer than Super Soft would be. Okay, I'm gonna take this off and then I can kind of show you it up close. It got caught in my hair clip. Okay, so this is, and I haven't woven in the ends yet, and I haven't done that because what I am going to do, because this is not a yarn I'm particularly worried about. If I showed you the inside, you would be able to tell right away that I did not deal with float management, and it's because the yarn is more rustic, and I feel like with a poncho, it's not going to, you don't have to put your arm through or your hands through it. You aren't going to be worrying about catching your floats on anything. And I'm pretty sure that the ends are just going to felt over wear. So, but this is how it looks up close. And this poncho is done in an interesting design. It uses color work, and it basically has a main color and then swaps out the contrasting color every couple of rows. So when you go look at the pattern picture, it looks different from this. But I liked the idea of doing 3-color work. I have been wanting to get better at color work this year. I'm definitely on my way there. I feel at least I feel more confident than I did before I started this year. So it's definitely a process, and I'm happily kind of exploring my knitting and exploring all of the color work out there. I know that there are billions of charts, and if you watched last week, you will know that I am planning on going right into casting on some Christmas sweaters for my family. I have a meme sweater for my husband, the This Is Fine meme. If you guys are into that is, he will absolutely adore that sweater. And he is not a sweater person, but he loves that meme. So the This Is Fine sweater for my husband, and I have 2 no, I'm not gonna say flax. It's not flax this year. I did 2 flax sweaters for my kiddos last year. So this year I am doing all over colorwork sweaters for them. And I actually last week printed out some a sweater template. And when I say that, it's basically a line drawing of a sweater. And it's nothing fancy, but what I wanted to do was go through the books that I showed you and shared with you guys last week and pick out charts. And I am going to draw the charts and the colors onto the sweater templates to kind of plan out and get a feel for what exactly these sweaters are going to look like. Now, I have some gradient packs. I don't know if I want to call them gradient because they're not technically gradient. They are mini packs that I bought from Fiber Optic Yarns when we went there in Ohio, and we went there a couple of weeks ago, and they each picked out a mini pack and a main color, and I showed those, I believe, 2 episodes ago. So what I'll do is I will take some markers or some colored pencils and kind of plan out my colors and plan out how these are going to look, because I feel like that is going to be the way forward. The mini packs, at least in my daughter's case, because I believe she picked a gradient from like a light pink to like a lighter pink or something like that. She picked a palette of very light pink colors. And what I wanted to do for that was just make sure that I aligned the colors in a way that will make sense on the sweater, because I'm a big fan of like light to dark colors or dark to light. I like the way that effect is. So I feel like, especially whenever the colors are very similar, that if I start throwing them around, it might be more visually confusing than if I align them from one light. What am I trying to say? If I align them from lightest to darkest or darkest to lightest, it will be a lot easier visually to understand, especially with the color work that's going to be going on. And finally, for myself, I am going to be making the, what is it called? Geez, it's by Stephanie Lotven. It is the, I just cast it on. I actually have it to show you. It is the Sock Arms Cardigan. That's what it is. Sorry guys, I don't know what's wrong with me today. And the worst part about it is I love that pattern. And I have been like daydreaming about casting on this sweater for most of the year. So I don't know why I can't remember what it's called right now, but there it is. Okay, so my goal for that is, and if you don't know, the Sock Arm Cardigan is a drop shoulder sweater. So you basically have armholes, and you pick up the arms and you make some caps for the sleeves, and then you work the sleeves down. In her book, Knit Happy with Self-Striping Yarn, she uses a self-striping yarn to make the sleeves, which is awesome. And I've loved like all the sweaters that people have made from that. I have gone through Ravelry and looked at all of them, and they're gorgeous. But what I wanted to do is use a sock pattern and make the sleeves from that. Now, the sock pattern is a very special, near and dear to my heart pattern. It is called Hero, what is it? Today's gonna be one of those days, guys. Socks of the Hero, that's what it's called. And it is from the Legend of Zelda. Well, it's Legend of Zelda inspired, and one sleeve is going to be green, one sleeve is going to be purple, and they're both going to represent either Link or Zelda. So I have cast that on, and I have started with just the teeny tiniest bit of the sock arm cardigan. Now, because of the way that it's constructed, you work by casting on one of the shoulders, and you knit for just an itty bitty bit, and then you cast on, you increase to make the neck, and then you set that down on waste yarn, and then you cast on the other side of the the other back part of the shoulder, and then you knit the same mirror basically, and then you cast on enough for the neck, and then you connect them. And then all of a sudden you're knitting the back piece. Now you knit the back piece, it's basically straight knitting until you start to get to the armholes. That's the part where I am at, and I am going to show you that now. Now for this pattern, I used Blackbird Sycamore yarn, Super Sock, and the color that I use is number 1 black, and I love this neutral color, and I think that it is going to end up being a great sweater. So I have actually used this exact yarn before. I made my mom, what did I make her? I made her a Joji Locatelli cardigan. And I'm trying to remember what it was. If you've watched previous episodes, I am a big fan of Joji Locatelli's patterns because I like the way that they fit my body with some armhole modifications. Now, I've had good luck with them, so I've knit quite a few of them, and I made my mom one maybe a year and a half ago, and she loves it, by the way. She's always talking about it, and she was very happy to get it, but I used this colorway for her for it. So this is what I have right now for the back. Now, one important thing to note is that Knit Happy with self-striping yarn uses a sport weight yarn, and this is a fingering weight. But I am not perceiving having any issues with it. I cast on a bigger size than I will need, so I am thinking that it will be fine. But I will be taking gauge as soon as I start, well, before I start the front piece, just to make sure that I am not too far off and to maybe do some math to see how the final product is going to fit. But if you can tell, you can kind of see my neck hole right there. This is where I was talking about with the neck kind of increasing. And then this is, sorry, it's rolling, you guys. And then this is where the armholes are going to start to increase. Now, once the armholes start to increase and then you knit a little bit more, you are going to set this back piece down and work on the front piece. Now, the front piece is going to be a little bit different just because it's a cardigan, and otherwise it'd be pretty similar to the back. But I love how this knits up. I think that it is so pretty. And I think that it is going to be the perfect neutral. Absolutely the perfect neutral for my Zelda sweater. So I don't know if you guys have ever played The Legend of Zelda, but they said who was going to be cast for the live action Zelda movie. And you know, I am so excited about it. I really am. I am such a geek. And so I am the type of person who is all in with fandoms, right? So let's see. I really like Super Mario Brothers. And if you guys were around in the 90s, they had a live action Super Mario Brothers movie that was pretty bad, like absolutely horrible. But me, I'm so geeky, I would sit and watch that just, because. With all of that said, I really did like the newer animated Mario movie. It was much better. But I am so excited about the live action Zelda movie. I very, very much hope that they don't do anything like to sour people's opinion on Zelda, because you guys know, books to movies or video games to movies can sometimes go awry. Speaking of that, and I've just completely got off topic, but I have to talk about this. I don't know if I've mentioned it. I've gone on and on about Project Hail Mary, right? They are making an Amazon movie. Like, really? And who plays the main character? I think it's Ryan Gosling. I'm so excited about that. I love that book. If I could recommend like one book, it would probably either be Project Hail Mary or like Fairy Tale from Stephen King, because I like those two. Okay, back to knitting. Sorry guys. I am thinking that this is going to be I have a cardigan to show you, and the other cardigan to show you is one that I am working on for my daughter. And you will see whenever I show you this that I don't have that much left. I mean, I do, but I don't. Needless to say, I have much more on this left. So what I am thinking, and this is just me thinking out loud, I am going to work as much as I can on my daughter's cardigan for just a little bit. Try to get that like buttoned up to where it's done, right? And then I can focus on this. I would really, really like to focus on this until I join the front and the back together. Because once you join the front and the back together, it's just rows, because right, it's just a cardigan. So I feel like that is a good approach to working with the fingering weight yarn, because right after I kind of cast this on and get this joined together to where I'm working the rows, I have a choice to make. My choice is, do I cast on my husband's sweater or one of my kids' sweaters? And I'm pretty sure I'm going to cast on one of my kids' sweaters, because I feel like I could knock out one of their sweaters pretty quickly, especially because it's color work, and it's going to be one color work, or not one color work. That's very, very interesting. It's going to be two color work, and I feel like that goes pretty fast. Whenever I do color work, I use both hands, so I'm holding one strand in one hand and one strand in the other, and I find that makes it seem a little bit smoother to me. One of the difficulties, yes, that's a good word. One of the difficulties that I did have with the Shetland skies was that I had my main color yarn in one hand, and then I was constantly swapping yarns in the other hand. So that kind of slowed the process down. But with the two color work, it's not going to be like that. With all of that said, they are fingering weight sweaters, so we will see. My husband's sweater is going to be knit from Cascade 220 Marine, no. Cascade 220 Superwash, not Cascade 220 Merino Superwash. I believe there's a difference, right? Yeah. Because I was looking at this the other day. I was looking on a website, and that they had Cascade 220 Superwash and then Cascade 220 Merino Superwash. But I just picked the Superwash. That will be fine with my husband. Whenever I was asking him what kind of yarn he wanted, he told me that he would be fine with anything. So I did I was looking at the project page, because there is a project page for his intarsia sweater. I was looking at it, and it uses a worsted weight cotton, and I didn't want to do that. I feel like it would get to be a very heavy sweater, and when it was wet, it would definitely be heavy. So cotton does have some amazing qualities, but I don't think that I'd want to use it for an intarsia sweater. I wouldn't feel comfortable with it, especially when it's wet and holding it up, and just, I don't know, the fact that it doesn't bounce back as much as wool does, just, I feel like I'd have a better outcome using the superwash wool, even though it's superwash. But okay, this is my sock arms cardigan, and I cannot wait to get a little bit farther on it. But you know what? I am going to show you, we're going to take just a teeny tiny hand knitting break, and I am going to show you some of the hats that I did on my knitting machine. Now, it's going to be quick. I'm not going to go over much of the details. If you ever feel the need to ask me a question about any of the hats that I show, because I'm kind of just brushing right through them, you can leave the comment down below. If you don't want to do that, you can reach out to me on either Instagram or Ravelry. Okay, so I have a story about this hat, and my daughter loves this hat. This hat fits her perfectly. So this is a hat made from Big Twist Twinkle, and you can see the sparkle in it. And this is really soft yarn, very, very soft yarn. And I couldn't, you know what? I was very impressed when I felt this yarn. But the story behind this yarn is that I just got this yarn in the mail. I got this yarn in the mail because I ordered it from Herrschners. And if you guys were a big fan of Big Twist, because they used to sell it at Joann's and it was the only place to buy it, well, you can get it at Herrschners now. I believe you can get some of the yarns from Big Twist at Michael's as well. But I ordered this because I got an email from Herrschners that said that they had their Halloween self-striping yarn back in stock. And I really like self-striping yarn. What can I say? So while I was ordering the Halloween yarn, I also picked up this Big Twist Twinkle. I think that's what it is. It's either Twinkle or Sparkle. But here's another one, and this is the Halloween yarn, and this is sparkly, right? But it's just some acrylic yarn. Now, one thing I did notice about this, and I actually really like this one. This doesn't have any of the purple in it. This is for a little one, a very little one. Not very little, probably about a toddler. But one thing I did notice about this, and this is the Herrschners Worsted 8. So their festive yarn is on their Worsted 8 base, and it has this sparkly sparkle in it. What I did notice is that the knitting machine was not very friendly with it. Now, the Big Twist, I had absolutely no problem knitting that up. Not one stitch stuck, not one stitch held. I could have went as fast as humanly possible with winding that hat, and it wouldn't have made a difference. Now, this Worsted 8? Herrschners Worsted, yes. This yarn was a completely different story. You can feel it's thicker, and it would catch stitches quite frequently. So whenever you're cranking a hat or whatever, you'll notice that sometimes a stitch won't go over and you'll end up having 2 loops. So then you have to kind of grab a crochet hook and untangle it or unloop it and pull the stitch back up and then put it on, or just a lot of different things were happening with this yarn. So while I definitely appreciate the self-striping and I do love the colors, I will not be buying this again just because it was a pain in the butt to kind of wind. Another color that I did get is Christmas colors, and I thought that these were cute too. So this is just a Christmas hat, and they're nice and squishy and stretchy. And that's pretty much it for that. So I just kind of wanted to take a break and show you guys that. Let you know that I am still working through my yarn stash. I am still how can I say that? Well, guys, to be fair, I am working through my yarn stash, but I am also acquiring new yarns to work through those as well. But my promise I have made to myself is that I will not be getting any more new yarn to make hats with or cowls or anything else with the knitting machine until I finish the container I have. I have a specific container for yarns that I use for my worsted weight machine knits, and those are separate, and until those are gone there will not be any more coming in. But okay, back to knitting, or well, at least hand knitting. So I have been working on my daughter's Montrose Junior cardigan, and I'm actually gonna pull these out to show you. Let me see if I can find the other thing. Sorry guys, I was quiet during that because I wanted to open it, and when I crinkle stuff, I like muting the sound so that it doesn't bother anyone. So if you wondered where the sound went, that's what happened. So I wanted to show you guys this. I thought that these were super cute. Look at the little cats. Aren't they adorable? And this says it's from Hello Kim. I got that from an online yarn store, but that's who the designer is. Okay, this is my daughter's Montrose Junior cardigan. And is it inside out? No, I just have a bunch of yarn everywhere. Obviously, because it's a work in progress. But I knit this sleeve last week, and I have the ribbing right here. Look at how puffy this is. Oh, it's so squishy. This is knit in Plymouth Encore. And I think that's 75% acrylic and 25% wool. But I'm gonna put it up. Don't take my word for it, because it could be 70-30. I feel at one time it was 80-20, so I don't know. And I've cast on the other arm, and I've also done the short rows. So now that the short rows are done, I am just going to be knitting round and round until I get to, this is the exact, I had her try this on before I started working on the ribbing, and this was the perfect length for her. So I know somewhere you can see my decreases. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I did 5 decreases, and I generally don't follow the pattern when I do my sleeve decreases, because I like my sleeves a little bit more form-fitting than most. Guys, there's a cardinal outside my window. I am so easily amused. It's so cute. Oh, okay. Back to the regularly scheduled program. I normally don't follow the directions precisely when we talk about arm decreases, and it's because I like my sleeves to be more form-fitting. I've noticed that when there's too much like wiggle room, it bothers me. Now, I followed these because this was for my daughter, but you can kind of see the nice way the size tapers off there, and I love the amount of ribbing on this cardigan, and the bottom is the same way. So once I pick this up, I'm going to be knitting just around and around. Hopefully I can knock out the sleeve next week. After the sleeve, I have to do the button band. And I feel like the button band will tie the whole cardigan kind of together here. But because right now the edges look messy. So I guess we'll have to see what happens. I do like it, and I think that it's squishy, and she likes it. It's her favorite color. So hopefully I will have it done in the upcoming weeks because I really want to work on my sweater and all the other stuff that I have, you know, bubbling around in my head. Now, I know I showed you these stitch markers, but I want to show you this because whenever I bought those stitch markers, the reason that I made the order was because I saw these and I thought that they had potential. They're called stitch huggers. Keep your stitches from sliding off your needles. It says it fits up to US 13, 9mm. Now look at these. They are just these little, I don't know, like plastic cords. And there's a bead running through them, and you stick your needle in, and then you can adjust the bead to make it wider or smaller. And I feel like this would work better for me than the stitch tappers. And the reason I feel this way is because whenever I look at the stitch tappers, and I love them, they're adorable. Like, I've seen so many cute ones. They have like cute cats and everything. But whenever I see the stitch markers, I think of, or not the stitch markers, the stitch tappers. All I can think about is when I was a kid and you had like those big like character erasers and you put them on the back, the eraser of your pencil, and it would just fall off and topple off. And that's just what I think of every time I see those. So I thought I'd give these a try. They at least seem like they had some promise, and I like the colors too, so it is what it is. I was excited to get that in the mail and to kind of see it. But okay, that is all of the knitting that I have this week. For the next couple of weeks, I am just going to be extra chatty and less showing patterns, and that's just because I am trying to tackle a couple of things that I have going on in life involving starting college and getting ready for that. So that is why that didn't happen this week. I do have an interesting thing to talk about, and I've been listening to different books this week. One of the books that I've listened to, or well, I am listening to, is called Mind Burn. And it is about personal brain assistants. So they call them PBAs in the story, and it is basic, and I haven't read very far into it, but it is basically about a world far in the future where you have these personal brain assistants and they can help you do anything. They can help you cope with things. They can alter your what you see and feel, and if something bad happened to you, they can make you forget it. You guys get the idea, right? So what happens is that these things aren't supposed to be hackable, and somebody all of a sudden can hack them. And obviously, when you can hack something that's in somebody's brain, you can make them do awful things, which is kind of what happens. So it's been interesting. It is from Rhett C. Bruno and somebody else he's co-writing with, I believe. But Rhett C. Bruno is the person who wrote Vicarious, and I really like that book, and so did my son. So if you are into science fiction, I would check him out. Okay, what else did I read? I read every book in the Handmaid. Is that what it is? Housemaid. I did that again. I did it last week too. They're so similar. So I read every single book in the Housemaid series, and it's because Hoopla, if you guys have never tried out Hoopla, It is basically like Libby in the sense that you can hook up your library card to it and go ahead and check out books. But it's not like Libby in the sense that you don't have to wait to check out books, but you'll have a specific amount of books you can check out. So if I went to Libby and searched for The Housemaid by Frida McFadden, because that's the series, I would see that my library has like 3 copies and the wait is like until 2030. So rather than wait in line, now Hoopla has that series. So I basically checked out and read The Housemaid, and then there's a second one, which I believe I was finishing up last week. And then there's a third one. And there's also a short story that takes place in between 2 and 3. Now, the third one was really good. I did not see the ending coming for any of them. But I feel like I am not a good person to guess endings on thrillers, because I don't know if like I'm just not very good at it, or like I'm always thinking the best of people, but I never guess the right ending. You know how like whenever you're playing Clue or something, or like those murder mysteries and you go, oh, so and so did it. Well, I'm always wrong. So let me know down below, guys, if you guys are always wrong as well. So I really like that book, and Mindburn is really good too. I started reading The Revival by Stephen King, and it seems like more like a narrative. Dolores Claiborne is a great book that's a narrative from him. And I haven't really gotten very far into The Revival before I realized that I needed to listen, my brain needed to listen to something else. So I put that on the back burner, and I'm intending on grabbing it whenever my headspace is a little bit more open. I have read very good things about The Revival, and I have also read that it is the best ending. That book has the best ending to any Stephen King book out there. So I don't know. I have never, like I said, I've never read it, and I'm excited because a ton of reviews had said that same thing. So if you guys have read it, let me know down below if it's like, if you were surprised by the ending, if you thought it was really good, because I'm very hopeful. What else happened this week? I had to go get a mammogram, a diagnostic, because there were lumps that the doctor wanted to get checked out, even though she figured it was okay. So I had that, and then I had to have an ultrasound. But this is interesting, right? We do complain a lot here in the States about the cost of healthcare and everything like that. And we definitely should, because it is very expensive, especially when you can't afford it. But I went in on, I think, Wednesday. My appointment was at 8:30. I had a mammogram and an ultrasound, and I had the results and was walking out the door at 10 o'clock. Now, that is crazy. I mean, I was not expecting to get the results, but they actually came and talked to me about the results, and everything was fine. They just want me to follow up in a year. But have we ever sat down and thought about how lucky we are to be able to get results like that fast? Because that's crazy, guys. I am so thankful we live in a world where stuff like that can happen. And I just wish that everybody everywhere could experience that. So that's my 2 cents anyways. So other than that, nothing happened this week. Nothing good. So I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. If you could, please give this video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Bye.